Hi guys, I'm Ryan Houston and welcome to my fly tying channel. Your video is about to start shortly. Please take this opportunity to hit the like button down below, leave some comments, tell your friends. Interaction, likes, subscriptions help my channel to grow and help me to keep producing content for yourselves. If you're new to my channel, check out the other videos that I've got. There are over 500 videos at this stage, so there should be something there for everybody. Again, video is about to start. Hit that like button down below. Hi guys, so salmon fly tonight, and this fly is called the Shrimpig, or the red and yellow Shrimpig. So it's kind of halfway between a shrimp fly and a little pot-bellied pig sort of thing, so hence the name. So what we're going to do is to tie in some silver wire as the tag. I'll take that back to where the hook splits. Now this is a Partridge Patriot, this happens to be a size 10. And then we're going to wrap backwards. 3 or 4 turns and then come through the legs of the hook and over the top. Tie that in somewhere around the middle and then we're going to fold it back on itself and tie back, and that will leave this also as our rib. So for the tail we're going to use boar bristles, and what I'm going to do here is use my tip dyed or magma pig bristles. So we're going to take a few of them out. Depends on the size of the fly, so obviously the smaller the fly, the fewer the bristles, the bigger the fly, the more. So I've got maybe half a dozen or so, and you can see here they have yellow moving into orange and then red tips. So I'm going to put that on the top there and have it sitting back up to yourself, but maybe 2 shank lengths, and tie that down. So I'm going to trim that off before we get to the front. And then I'm going to put a bit of varnish onto that because it's not a very compressible fibre. I'm going to put a bit of varnish onto it so that we can then wrap into it, and when all dries it'll help just to secure it in place. So some sort of flash as well you'd want in the tail. I'm going to use just a little bit of this pearl or UV type crystal here, and I'm going to tie it in here halfway along my body section and flip it back, and then tie that back to meet the butt. I'm going to take both of these and I'm going to trim them off, not quite full length of the tail. So the body on this one we're going to use a holographic silver tinsel. You can use holographic silver braid, in which case you could dispense probably with the rib. And then we'll wrap the body in that. So we're not going to go too close to the eye here because we're going to have multiple hackles to go on. So we're going to stop around about there. So we've used maybe 2/3 of the shank. And then we want to rib that with our silver wire. Come to the front, take our thread across it, and then change it so that it's in line with the shank and wrap forward over it, and then hold your thread tight while you wiggle that to break it. So that is the body of the fly tied. So now we're going to move on to the first of the hackles. So the first hackle we're going to put on this is where the shrimp end of it comes in, and this is actually a golden pheasant breast feather that's dyed in like a fluorescent red. I'm going to find the center of that and tie that in on the top. So this little bit will go back. I'm going to leave that in, and it'll help to support the wing a little bit. Put on our hackle pliers, wrap it between my finger and thumb. And these are short hackles anyway, just by their nature, so you're only going to get a couple of turns in. So in a smaller fly, I'd probably go with just maybe the one turn. In a slightly larger fly, we're going to get a couple of turns. So the next hackle that we're going to use is a slightly unusual hackle. And that is a silver pheasant hackle that I've dyed in yellow. Now, these are not the easiest of things to come by, so if you don't have one, don't get too hung up on it. Just use a yellow hackle, or basically whatever suits. Maybe a yellow dyed partridge or something if you still want the speckler, or even galena, guinea fowl dyed in yellow would do. So this is our silver pheasant dyed in yellow. I'm going to snap out the tip of that, fold back the last few fibres like you see me doing in lots of hackles to make this sort of like little V, and then tie across that V. Fold it back, secure it down, and it's ready to wrap. Flip it between my finger and thumb to double it, and then wrap it on. So with this one, I'm just sort of looking the accent of this sort of pattern or colour, so I'm just doing one turn, tying it in on top and tying across it. We shall snap that off. And that just gives us an interesting sort of speckled vermiculation to the fly. Right, a wing now. So for the wing, I'm going to use black fox mask. Fox mask is probably my preferred wing material for these sorts of flies, because it's nice and fine, but it has a little bit of shape to it. So we're going to put that on the top. If you want, you can add extra flash now, or you could have dispensed with the flash that is in the tail of the fly and put it on as an underwing here. It's up to yourself. So we're going to set that up and measure it for length, and then transfer. So transfer hands, and I get that tied in. So there's one turn holding that in place at the minute. So just keep the pressure on that while I take a cocktail stick and a little bit of super glue, and we're just going to super glue about 2 centimeters of our thread and then wrap over the tie-in of our wing, and that will just seep into it and it will make it secure. You may have seen me tie in other videos where I actually just dab the tip of it. So this is another way of doing it, because the other way you have to be very fast. This way you don't have to be as fast tying it in, but you probably don't get the same penetration. So it's a little bit of a balancing act. So now I'm going to change my thread. So I'm going to swap over to a black thread. And I'm going to add a couple of jungle cock feathers to the wing of this fly. So I'll take 2 small jungle cock here. Strip back the rubbish, and I'm going to set them up so that they're sort of either side of the wing. and tie forward over it. So we can fold these back for extra security or trim them off and take our super glue again, run it on a centimetre or so of our thread and just finish the wraps off over them with that, and that'll hold them in place. Now, last hackle, and this time we're going to use a red dyed badger hackle. Strip off the base, flip it over and double it. As I said, there should be a link up in the corner hopefully to my fly tying techniques section where you will find a doubling hackles video. So nip her out and tie it in across the V as you've seen with all the hackles, fold it back, turn across it, a little bit of wax on our thread here, and we'll just create a little bed to wrap that on. And then we're just creating this front hackle. So I suppose this brings in the sort of Irish shrimp type front hackle, which gives you that extra movement, I think, in slightly slower water. So this fly probably will fish in a variety of different poles of flow, shall we say. So to finish this then, what we want to do is to coat the head in mirage or pearl tinsel, whichever you want. So I'm going to tie that in. I'm leaving a good inch or so of it sticking out the front there, just till I get it bound down, and then I'm going to add again with the cocktail stick super glue to about 2 to 3 centimeters of our tying thread and wrap that back, and that will create a secure head to begin with. Trim that off, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to see what way my tinsel wants to lie when it wraps, and then I'm going to just glue the face of the leading edge and then when it's wrapped, what I'm going to do is pull the tinsel, so that will thin it out, and then we can put on a half hitch or two to hold it all in place. Put some more glue onto our cocktail stick and just essentially varnish the head with super glue to begin with. That gets a second to dry. We can then just slide down and cut off our tinsel, and that's our fly tied. So all that remains with this fly then is to coat it with a clear varnish when we're done. So we have to wait till the super glue dries before we do that. But that is our red and yellow Shrimpig, a sort of a mix of several different styles, and the idea here is that we have the sort of pig type style with the hair wing, which allows us to fish faster flows, and then if we get into slower flows we also have the sort of Irish shrimp style hackling in here with the front hackle and also the kick of the feelers, so it'll allow you to fish a variety of different speeds of water. So hopefully you like what you see. If you did, give us a like, subscribe, tell your friends, check out the other videos on the channel, and until next time, tight lines. Thanks for watching.